What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Jon and Ted's excellent Gamecast, episode number 25. Sorry, everybody, we're up a day late. It is Friday, March 25th, 2016. And what time is it? It's game time. I am Ted Theodore Edwards, your host, joined always by Jonathan A. Nadeau Esquire. How's it going, man?
Very good, very good. I feel like we should have the little guitar music like...
Right? Air guitars, for sure. How's it going, dude?
Oh, everything's going well over here. The weather's, turning out really nice lately. I think, this weekend's going to be in the 50s and 60s, so boom, heat wave.
Yeah, we finally turned the corner. It is nice and 82 degrees right now in sunny Los Angeles, so I'm doing good. So
yeah.
Not a bad deal. We have a little different show outline today. No guests, just the two of us hanging out today, but we have some fun stuff planned for everybody listening, yeah?
No one wanted to come on.
No, everyone wanted to go on. No, we actually we kind of got hyped up for I think 2 weeks ago we talked about a couple things that we wanted to discuss. So I'll go over. We have a big show planned today. So I'll give a quick rundown of what we're doing. We are going to, of course, get into some news. A couple things happened, not much. So we're going to breeze over a short news segment, but also we're going to do some fun things. We're going to do a Ted's Top Lists, so we haven't done that in a little while, huh? It's been a few weeks.
Yeah.
So I have a fun top list for you guys. And then we're going to do a little game quiz where John's going to get me. He says we always kick everyone's butts on the boss battle, so we're going to try to stump me
we're
here.
We're going to turn the tables on Ted.
Yes, so and I have fun messing with people, so John's going to try to get me with... a guess that game for the sounds of games. So John's going to give me some, I think they're all NES titles, is that right?
Yes, actually they are all NES, so...
Okay, so that's good. So get some old school gaming, test my knowledge, and see if I can guess the game based on just a sound snippet that he's picked out for me. Then we're going to do a couple emails, got a few of those, and then we're going to do a topic of the week, but... we kind of got pumped up from the last time 2 weeks ago we talked about it. Yeah, we're going to do a spoiler cast, so we're going to let you know if you haven't read the book Ready Player One. We're going to go and do an in-depth discussion on Ready Player One.
Although I wouldn't call it a spoiler, it's been out for a long time, so if you haven't read it yet, shame on you.
Right. Well, see, I was late to the bandwagon. I just read it. That's why I'm.
That's true.
Why I'm doing the discussion. Yeah. So we will let you know when time to tune out or turn off the podcast. But So, dude, let's get into some news. Let's get the news out of the way so we get the fun stuff.
Let's do it.
Alrighty. So I thought this was a fun story. So there's a couple good stories this week. Some fun things. This was cool. So it was a story from Kotaku. It said, as a 19 years later, a man who he played Diablo back 19 years ago when he was a teen, but he pirated the game. But he finally, 19 years later, paid Blizzard for the game. So I thought that was a pretty cool story with piracy and, indie games coming out trying to get their games. Obviously, Blizzard's not an indie game, but people, really trying to make a name in the gaming industry and, having Steam and sales for games going for like $1.99 just to try to get their game out. This is kind of good on him for giving back to the developers.
Yeah, no, I mean, there's, some, I'm sure our listeners have heard of like the Humble Bundle where it's like, pay what you want for the games. And, there's people out there that, they at like the minimum price could be $5 or $10 for a bundle of games, but there's people out there that'll spend $100, $200. They'll willingly give that much, to any developer. So it's kind of a different mindset, with people these days where it's kind of like the approach of like open source software. It's like my operating system's open source, so it's totally free. Anyone can download it and use it. And you can make 100 copies of if you want and hand it out. But there's a handful of people out there that appreciate the work and appreciate what's being done, and they go above and beyond the Call of Duty sometimes and really hook you up. So that's
I thought that was exactly, you hit the nail on the head. That's perfect because, like I said, give back to the gaming industry because they give you fun. Especially, I thought it was a good thing of integrity. Like he pirated as a kid.
Exactly.
I mean, we've done it. We've all done something like that as a kid. Remember when Napster and everything was a thing?
Oh yeah.
Downloading music and all that stuff. So it was really good on him to go ahead and be like, hey, you know what? I got so much enjoyment out of this game. Thank you for dedicating hours, weeks, months, years of your life to create this thing for me that I enjoyed. Right, and then here's what you deserve.
In the article, did it say how he went about paying them for the game? Like, did he just buy like the license for the latest game, or okay?
So, it's still really cool.
Yeah.
So I thought,
like, even if he didn't intend on playing it, he was just like, oh, you know what? I'm just gonna buy a copy because of the one I used back in the day.
Right. So, like I said, good on him, and I hope there's more stories like that, especially with the all the games coming out now, and piracy is rampant. But like I said, we get so much enjoyment out of games, and people are so harsh and critical on games when they come out. But this is like someone's livelihood.
Exactly.
2 years. People get dedicate their lives to making a game, and so it's pretty good.
Yeah, good on him.
Yeah. So that's a good, I guess, segue you can say. To this studio, another one bites the dust. Another gaming studio, gaming closed. So that's again, the gaming industry is rough. So big publishers and like the AAA studios and Sony, Microsoft, all those big places, they will they close studios left and right, and developers and artists on these teams, they have to get work. Just kind of go where it goes because their studio can be closed at any moment. You ship a game, your studio's closed. Well, Sony just closed Evolution Studios. They made Drive Club and MotorStorm, which are pretty cool, awesome games, and they closed them up. Obviously, Drive Club was a mess when it came out over the last 2 years. It's supposed to be a launch title, got delayed a year. Then when it came out, it was broke. So, but. Yeah, that's just again that was just a quick little one too. It's just another one we've been hearing about. Lionshead Studio closing, and now just more big studios closing. And hey, it's the nature of the beast. It's the roughness about being a developer and being in the gaming business, man. It's just how it works, unfortunately.
Yeah, I don't understand how like Sony or like Microsoft has like these kind of different studios. You would think they all would kind of, I'd look at it as like a venture capitalist or an angel investor, and maybe look at it where like, I'm going to invest into these 20 things, these 20 companies, knowing, 15, 18 of them, 19 of them are probably going to fail. But one of them is like the home run, the grand slam, where it makes up for all the other investments.
Yeah.
So you'd figure like these studios would kind of be the same. Like even if this one studio put it like a flop, well, Studio B over here just made 500 million, and so they would kind of carry each other,
Right, and but that's again, unfortunately, that's not how the gaming industry works. It's just like you go on a game, they started a development cycle, you go on a crazy crunch the last 6 months, where people are working 80, 90 hours a week, losing sleep, having nervous breakdowns, and then a month getting divorced. A month after the game ships, you lose your job. I mean, that sucks. But granted, these people, they'll move on and they'll do something different. A lot of them will probably be repurposed in another Sony studio or move on to do bigger and better things. But it's just kind of sad. So, yeah. Going back to last week's news. So, moving on, we talked about the Xbox and PlayStation, the crossplay system, right, through the Xbox. That's pretty cool. And Psionic Studios, the guys who made Rocket League, they said, "We figured it out." So that was their quote in a little release. They said that, hey, we got it figured out. Now it's just time for people to make moves on the business side. Awesome.
No kidding. So we don't know when that's going to actually be implemented, right?
Yeah, like who knows the business side of it? Like what the deal is. Like Sony and Microsoft have to sit down in a conference room and be like, hey, okay, how are we going to do this? How is this going to be viable?
That'll go well.
Yeah. Well, I mean, at this point now, like I think they realize with the consoles getting crazy, which actually the next story is kind of going to play on that, is kind of how the generation is playing out, how consoles maybe not necessarily dying, but becoming an afterthought. and becoming something of a different beast. So they're going to have to sit down and talk about something to kind of help themselves in the market. So, but yeah, like the good thing is that Psyonix are like, hey, we got to figure it out. We can do it. So developers can do it, and that's a really cool thing to do. So if you're a lot of times when you buy a console, you buy what your friends have, right? Who your friends are playing.
Exactly. Yeah.
But now if you like a certain console, you have like certain games, or you can only afford one or the other, then you can just say, hey, I can get this console, but we can still play the games. So
exactly. Yeah. That's awesome.
I think that's cool. So a quick hitter before we go on to that console, the new age console thing is Nintendo trying to trademark its iconic bling Mario coin sound.
No kidding.
Yeah, so they're it's the Nintendo in Japan. They're going to trademark the sound, and so you can't use that sound anymore.
That's interesting.
I mean, it is iconic. It is them. They created IP. It does make them money. So good on them. I mean, that's kind of the thing. Like when Sony was being idiots like a year ago or so, 2 years ago, trying to do the trademark or the patent for Let's Plays. I mean, that just seems like really stupid. But this is something they created that is synonymous with Nintendo and Mario, and so that's something that's theirs. So I'm okay with that.
One of the story I saw, I don't know. I only saw like one article on it, so I don't know how true it is or whatever. But I think I saw something saying like they were going to be killing off like the Wii U and 3DS soon.
Oh yeah, I did. Yeah, that was Nintendo came out and said that hey, no, we plan on production through the next fiscal year. But yeah, that went. I think it was about like 4 or 5 days ago. That went like pretty crazy. Like the internet was on fire with that. Like they said, oh yeah, 2016 they're going to stop production of the Wii U. Obviously the NX is going to be probably announced at E3, the next console. But yeah, I saw that too, and I was like, oh man. But hey, rumors have some sort of truth, so I bet you they said the next fiscal year, but who knows when that ends for them?
Yeah, exactly. It could be another actual year from now, for all we know.
Right, or it could be, hey, their fiscal end ends in September at the end of September.
Yeah, that's true.
Right? So I mean, a lot of big companies end in March, so. But still, even so, if it ends in March, that's still pretty quick for a life cycle of a console. It's pretty short. We talked about, you remember the boss battle question? When was the last?
I know that's what I was just going to bring up. I was like, I guess this is no NES then.
Not even close. Yeah, like 23 years of production versus 4 and a half. Wii U was a flop for them. There's some good titles on it, but it just wasn't in the cards. So hopefully the NX can do something. There's also actually, since we're breaking news stories here, I saw there was a leak. I think I saw a story maybe 6 months ago with I might have brought it up to you when Nintendo was trying to patent a controller with like a visual screen on it with no buttons. Like just like an iPhone like type looking controller with some nubs on it, but the screen is up there. There's been leaks of footage of that exact controller now, like hardware, and I've seen pictures of it. And
that's sort of NX.
Exactly. Everyone's saying that. They don't know the viability, but they've been burning around the internet. That kind of blew up like earlier in the week. So who knows what's going on with that? So yeah, interesting. So yeah, good on Nintendo trademarking the coin sound. That's cool. So the last news story, again, we're moving quickly, but this is the one I kind of want to hit on. It kind of goes on with a few episodes back where we talked about the Microsoft and how they were maybe doing an upscaled, a kind of a half-step version of the Xbox, right?
Or there'll be various half-step kind of
versions. Yeah, as it goes, and it's kind of moving into the typical consumer hardware model of phones and other devices, right?
Yeah.
Well, we were like, Microsoft needs to make a play. They're behind. Let's do that. Okay. But now we have a disgusting dystopian future. There is a rumor coming out that people have so eloquently and I guess in a funny way named it the PS 4.5. There's rumors that Sony is making plans to create an upscaled 4K version of the PlayStation 4.
That's interesting.
Built to also help with the VR. So maybe with the VR little set-top box that you get with the VR processor unit inside it as well. So like a PS 4.2 or 4.5, whatever you want to say.
I wonder if that's going to be the bundle that you can buy around Christmas time if you want to buy the new PS 4.5 and your Sony, VR.
Well, they've already shown the bundle. It is just the little power box that goes with it.
No, I mean, if you want to, like, say if you want to buy the whole bundle, like, say if you don't own a PS4 yet.
Yeah, no, they have that bundle now. Yeah, they have the whole big thing. But no, I'm saying it's still rumors, like, right now. It's and Sony's kind of no commenting on it, and I think they're just kind of playing the field. But that's just kind of leaning toward the dystopian future of, like, oh no, like every couple seconds, like everyone just bought a PlayStation. Like, I just bought a PlayStation 4, and so it's like, what? Like, I mean, that makes sense with phone hardware and stuff. But I don't know.
Definitely sucks to be like that, in that sort of spot where, like, you just bought it, but like 3 months later the newer version of it comes out and you weren't aware of it, like you had no idea.
Right.
Like that spot sort of sucks. But I mean, like, iPhone now, all iPhone users know there's going to be the 5 and then the 5S and then the 6 and the 6 Plus.
That was the SE just came out.
Yeah, so every year there's a new one coming out, but it's just ever so much better than the next one, or not even maybe arguable. But so once Sony and Xbox implement this, like, the first time they do it, or maybe the second time they do it, it's going to kind of suck for some people, because they're going to be like, man, I just bought this thing 6 months ago, and now they get the newer one out, But once people pick up on sort of that release schedule, I think it could be kind of cool.
Yeah, but I think it could be interesting in a way. But again, the only major difference they're saying, like the rumor said, is like it's upscaling it to 4K. And maybe have the little processing unit of the VR inside the box. So who knows? But
yeah, well, I mean, you don't want to go totally you don't want to have it have like 8 times the amount of RAM as the other one.
Yeah, they're updating the processor unit and stuff. That's what they're doing, making it faster. But like, what kind of 4K? Who's making 4K right now? Nobody. So it's like, what are they planning on doing, or what's that?
Yeah, but the games could push 4K up on the screen, and the 4K TVs are kind of out, and there's nothing to put on them. So,
but games are even having trouble with 1080p and 60 frames per second. So it's like,
that's true.
Yeah, so it's like, what are they gonna do? Like, I'm confused what's going on. And also, it segments your market big time. So it's like, what are they going to be like? Oh, you're going to look at the back of a PlayStation game. It's going to be like, okay, you need PlayStation 4.73, and then this game only works with these model numbers.
Back in the days of Windows, like, you need to have Windows XP to run it, but you're only running Windows 2000. So like, damn.
Yeah, exactly. Well, the thing is, too, you have a PlayStation 4, right? And then you're on PlayStation 4, like the third version of it. So it's like, oh, this game runs with the later 2 versions of PlayStation 3 or PlayStation 4, but not the other ones.
That's some good points.
So it's like, I don't know. Like, it feels weird, but I mean, I don't know.
They probably they're probably trying to figure out something, because I mean, they're like, okay, having one console for 10 years, that's not going to cut it.
Right. Well, that's how it used to be. Like, everyone knew that when you bought a console, I got 5-6 years of a solid, good console that just works. You plug it in, everything's awesome. The beginning launch titles are okay, and then as the end of the generation comes, it gets great. It's fantastic, and I have that piece. And then, you know what? 5-6 years down the line, I'm going to get the new one. And that's how it's been since video games started. Since home video gaming started, that's how it was. Since Atari started, that's how it's been. Mm-hmm. To kind of change that model now is kind of rough. I mean, there might be the idea of like, hey, maybe the first couple times, like, hey, send in your PS4 and like $200 and we'll give you the new one, right? Or something like that, like a trade-in thing.
Program,
just the first couple times or something. Like I don't really know. I don't really know how I feel about it.
I think what kind of spoiled, us or whatever, is the kind of the cell phone market and where computers are at now.
Yeah,
like,
computers are massive.
People are seriously. I'm seeing people get cell phones literally like every 6 months now. Like, they have like those jump programs or the upgrade. Like, people like, really? You need a new cell phone every 6 months?
Well, it's like leasing a car now. There's rental programs. You can rent a phone, and then like when a new one comes out, you just trade it in and you just pay the trade-in fee. It's like $50, and you keep your monthly premium.
And not only that, not only are we expecting new hardware every 6 months or every year, but we also want software updates now on our phone every however often too.
Just got one this morning for iOS 9.4 or something like that. And, I'm like, geez.
Exactly. So it's, and again, back to computers. I mean, people now are almost buying computers every year, or they're getting so cheap to the point. Like, I can remember back when I owned a computer store. I mean, this is at least 10 years ago or so, or no, 7 years ago or so, when when I still had it running. But I would have people come in and be like, it'd be ridden with viruses and spyware and have to clean it out. But people would be like, oh, well, just tell me if I need to buy a new one. I'm like, no, that is not the solution to this problem. but that's the mindset of people, though,
It's like, my alternator in my car got it out. Do I need a new one? Yeah, just go buy a new car.
Exactly. That's exactly, like, I would tell people, like, if your car ran out of gas, do you go buy a new car? Like, it's like, I was like, no, that's not the solution. But I think, that's what the consoles are kind of up against now. Like, people kind of want new stuff all the time now. So, they got to figure out a way to battle that.
Yeah, I don't know how I feel about it. I was listening to Giant Bomb cast earlier in the week, and they mentioned something. There's an email guy sent in who is a teacher, and there's like a BYOD, bring your own device, to class now, and teachers utilize like kids using technology, right? Well,
yeah.
The distraction in class is is mobile games like Clash of Clans and stuff like that. They were saying, and but what he was saying is like he's a video game guy, and all kids think that console gaming is for old people and stupid. So the console players need to figure out something. So it's the new play. That's why I like the cross play. So that's what I was saying. They need to band together and figure out something, or else, because like kids nowadays are like, oh wait, console gaming? I have my phone. I'm good. Like it's just
the casual gamers for sure.
Yeah. So hey, we're heading down a crazy path of dystopian future in the gaming world, which hey, we're going to talk about very soon. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I think that's it for news. I want to get into the other fun stuff. Are you good on news? Anything else?
Yeah, I think that's everything I got on my end.
Dude, we blazed through that, didn't we?
Yeah.
Nice. I think we're going to take a quick break, and we're going to come back and get into the fun segment. So let's take a break, my man.
All right.
Wow, we're back. While you were gone, PlayStation 4.723 came out, and
nice.
And I bought it, and then as I was buying the checkout, 4.729 came out.
Yeah.
As I was checking out, so I had to trade it in for my $200 value, and yeah. So.
My Xbox One just turned into an Xbox 2.
Oh, see, there you go. Xbox, yeah, it just multiplied. Yeah, like I said, you can start, taping consoles together to get the numbers in them. I don't know.
Exactly.
Yeah. Let's do some fun segments now, John. We haven't done a Ted's top list in a while.
We gotta do that.
Yeah. So if you guys haven't heard of Ted's top list in a long time, since I don't know, like 10 episodes ago.
I was gonna say it's probably at least 10 episodes.
Yeah, for sure. We got to get back into these. I think they're fun. Just so you know, Ted's top lists, they are my opinion. They may not actually be the right thing. They are what I think, and generally based on some kind of fact or some kind of, I would say, intelligent opinion. Hopefully, I'm not selling myself too short, right? But this week, so again, these are my favorites, or an opinion I have, but not necessarily maybe true. You may have differences of opinion, but that's okay. So John, I think I sent it to you, yeah, and so you saw this week's top list. This week's top list is Ted's top badass warriors in history. Yeah, so. Let's go down the list. I think the last one, we did, remember Arnold Schwarzenegger movies?
Yeah, that's awesome.
Predator is number one, of course. All right, so we're going to start at the bottom with the honorable mention. So I was thinking of this. I really enjoy warfare and the strategy behind it, but I also enjoy the aristocratic casts and just elite warriors in history. I think that's always, the actual person, people like Genghis Khan, Attila the Hun, or the actual warriors themselves, William Wallace, but also the castes or the sects of warrior that represent, because that's what kind of bred those type of people, right? I always like the integrity and how they were brought up, and so I'm going to go through my list. I got 12 on the list, and I have 4 honorable mentions who didn't quite make the list for the top. They were good, but they weren't quite up, in the par with the other ones. So we're going to go through these. And, again, feel free to jump in and talk about each one as much as we want. I'm not going to blaze through this because we can dig deeper. So honorable mentions. First honorable mention we have is the Army Rangers. Yeah. And
wow.
See, it goes to show they're honorable mention, right?
My goodness.
Exactly.
I hope no Army Rangers are listening.
Hey, I think that Army Rangers listening would actually, if they heard this list, they'd be like, "Oh, okay." Except for maybe one of them on there, but yeah. So the Army Rangers, I mean, obviously elite, but they made the list for honorable mention.
My wife's brother, my brother-in-law, I don't know if his best friend maybe. He's an Army Ranger, and
nice.
he is one dude you don't want to mess with.
Oh yeah, as you know, I used to train the Marine Special Ops, and they're my dudes. They regular guys just walking around, but you can see that little glint in their eye that something's
Exactly.
you know.
Exactly.
All right, next on the list for the 4 honorable mentions is the Scottish Highlanders. So back in the day, you know the Highlanders, they were like what William Wallace were, you know, like the tribe of Highlanders. They were skilled in guerrilla warfare against, you know, the English, and they were really tough warriors.
Guerrilla warfare, Scottish people.
Yeah, you know, like they
wear kilts and bagpipes.
Yeah, exactly. Actually, the good thing about that is too, I know a lot about them, is my high school mascot with the Highlanders. I wore kilts to school sometimes. Yeah. I think
real men wear kilts.
Exactly. I think there's a fun story. In school, we senior year we had to wear football blazers for home games. It said, you know, high school football with our school name on it, and then they're nice blazers and a shirt and tie. Well, the senior captains, we wore a kilt with it, and we thought it'd be funny to do what the Scottish people did and wear nothing underneath it.
I was just gonna say,
first half,
what?
The first half of the day, all the girls in the school, everyone was feeding us fun to flip our skirts up, and we got kicked out of school. And so our football coach had to go talk to the principal and say, hey, because you're required to go to at least half the day at school to play in a sporting event, and we got kicked out in third period, and so that wasn't the full half of the day, so we couldn't play in the football game. We were the 3 or 5 starters, and so he had to talk to him. So we were allowed to play, but later on we had to wear like spandex shorts underneath our kilts. Yeah, you know, you're dumb and 17. What do you do? All right, so moving on to this is the Maori Warriors from New Zealand. Yeah, the guys who also do the haka and all the dance, the crazy Maori. They do the tribal tattoos that you see all the dudes, you know, doing now. So they're pretty awesome, and they stick their tongue out, and they're crazy like cannibals. Yeah, right on. Number 4, last honorable mention, are the British Commandos. Yeah, so the Commandos units in obviously World War II and on through. But
that's not the same as what is it like called the SI6 or MI6
MI6
or whatever?
No, that's not. But
okay.
I think that's James Bond actually.
No.
Yeah, the MI6, the 007 program. Yeah, they're on here. Yeah. So those are my honorable mentions: Army Rangers, Scottish Highlanders, Maori Warriors, and the British Commando. So good on them. I think they're awesome warriors in history. Those, you know, casts are pretty sick. So now let's get into the real stuff. All right, the
real warriors.
Yeah, I mean those are real, but these are like the real of the real. So number 12, like the bottom of the list, but still pretty gangster. The Assassins. So the Assassins were the Nizari Ismailis, which is a sect of Islam, and they wreaked havoc throughout the Crusades. They were a small break-off sect, and they started the basic practice of being professional assassins in during that time, and they would assassinate leaders and like. They'd spend like 2 years planning an assassination by getting close to the person and like being inside their royal guard and then assassinating them and getting out, and they were crazy. So the Assassins were some gnarly warriors back then. They would go all out, and so pretty cool. And they assassinated the Crusader Knights as well as other Islamic leaders. So they were not to be messed with at all, and they were a very, very small band of people living up in the mountains and mountain fortresses that they could not root them out because they were so secretive. So cool. Yeah. Number 11, the medieval knight. I mean, you can't go wrong with the knight, right?
Yeah.
So.
I'm laughing because right away the scene came into my head in Bill and Ted when they were like when they were like sword fighting, you know, Luke Skywalker and stuff, and
the knight.
And I think can't remember if it's Bill or Ted that falls down like the stairs. He's like, "Oh man, I killed him. Are you okay? You know, I can't believe I killed him." And he gets up and he's like, "Oh, you're alive, awesome!" And they hug each other. And then they're like,
they start fighting again. Yeah. Oh no. Oh, Bill and Ted. Yeah, we have to do a Bill and Ted like totally lean into it as episode. Obviously, it gets our namesake, so we have to keep going with that.
But knights are definitely some or warriors.
Yeah, you have to give the medieval knights. So we'll give them there. They're number 11. Number 10 I particularly like because this kind of goes in. This was my college mascot. Was the Aztec Jaguar Warriors. Ooh, yeah, the bloodlust guys who they wear jaguar skins on their bodies. They like kill a full jaguar and put the jaguar the head on their bodies to intimidate their enemies. And yeah, so they used clubs with obsidian laced in it for their weapon. Yeah, and so that's what they used for weapons. And obviously the Aztecs took over all of Central America, a lot of it, like in Mexico.
Yeah, my wife's mother is part Navajo and Aztec.
Oh, nice. There you go. Yeah, the San Diego State, where I played football, the San Diego State Aztecs. We were the Aztecs. So awesome. So Aztec Jaguar Warriors, number 10. Number 9, coming back to the future, coming back up to kind of modern day, a little Cold War style, is the Russian Spetsnaz, or the KGB, or the GRU, whatever you want to call them, the elite warriors during the Cold War. So they're basically the U.S. equivalent to like the commandos or SEALs or Rangers type stuff for the Russian, and they were pretty gnarly during the Cold War. So yeah.
One crazy story, in college, one of my computer science professors was this insanely smart Russian guy, worked for IBM and did this insane programming for like memory.
And he was in the GRU.
No, but his parents were killed by the KGB.
Oh, see.
He told us a story like in class. I was like, whoa, not expecting that in your computer science class.
So what was his real name? He's in witness protection or whatever. Seriously. He's like he's defector or whatever to get in.
Exactly. He was definitely an older guy. Like he was probably 70s or so.
Oh yeah, that's perfect timing because the KGB was rampant during the Cold War. So
exactly, yeah. Oh, but I don't remember how he even got on that topic in class, but he just went to this like 20 or 25-minute story just talking about how the KGB came to his house and dragged his parents out of the house and took care of him. I was like, whew.
Oh, that's not cool.
No. I was like, man.
Well, we are talking about warriors. Ugh, well, maybe I'll drop them down a little bit. Or up, I guess, either way, right? I don't know.
Yeah, I guess, yeah, depending on how you're looking at it.
Yeah. All right, let's roll through these last ones. So number 8 is the Apache warrior. Yeah, the Apaches were one of the tribes that gave the U.S. a very big problem through the entire history since the encounter. They fought tooth and nail down to like the last 30 or 40 of individuals, and
was Crazy Horse an Apache?
No, he was a Lakota, I believe.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But they were. I was thinking about making them honorable mention, but no, the Apache were just so much more ruthless, and their warriors they did not mess around. They took no prisoners, especially from the whites or from the U.S. government, and they fought everything. They never surrendered until the very end, the last 30, where I think Tonto was an Apache. So
okay.
Yeah. So but yeah, they're pretty awesome. Number 7, the Praetorians, the Roman elite guards, the emperor's elite guards. They were like the best of the best of the Roman army, and they were just skilled. They hung out just with the emperor and protected him as they went around. So obviously Julius Caesar's Praetorians were not very good.
Caesar's hard. Yeah.
But no, exactly. Like Ides of March was 10 days ago. So there you go. Number 6, the ninja or shinobi.
Oh yeah.
The ninja, everyone knows they're Japanese. They were outcast by the other warrior class. Obviously, one of the best warrior class systems in history in Japan. But the ninja were skilled at their deception and stealth and warfare, doing unconventional wise, like guerrilla stuff like that. So ninja and shinobi, number 6 for sure.
Every kid growing up in the 80s wanted to be a ninja, just like me.
Yep, I was a ninja.
Karate classes, and I totally wanted to be a ninja.
I was a ninja for 3 consecutive Halloweens.
There you go.
Yep, there you go. Number 5, the Immortals. Yeah, the elite Persian warriors. Like, if everyone's seen the movie 300, yeah, the Immortals were the elite Persian, like a shock troop force. And they were like at the top of the line of the Persian Empire, which, took over, most of the world, had the largest empire in history, one of them, So, yeah, so the Immortals were up there. This may surprise people. Number 4 are the Navy SEALs.
Oh, yeah.
So that's what I said. The Army Rangers might be a little upset. But
yeah, I guess so.
But yeah, number 4, the Navy SEALs. Need I say any more? It's the Navy SEALs. I mean, come on. They rock.
Yeah.
Number 3.
must be something clearly not right with you if you're a Navy SEAL.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I know a lot of SEALs, and they're all crazy, but they're crazy in a good way. So I thank them. I thank them for their craziness. To be honest, you know.
Yeah.
So now we got the top three, man. Any guesses for the top three? Who are saying any warriors in history?
Are you good? Is it like Attila the Hun, stuff like that? Like
no, these are still okay. Like warrior casts.
Oh man. Well, you mentioned ninja. How about like a shogun warrior?
Okay, that's that they may be on there.
Let's see. Trying to think of who else.
Yeah. Oh well, let's get into it. You're right on that one of them though. So number 3, the Viking berserker. Yes.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah, the Vikings obviously terrorized all of Europe, North America, even somewhere in the Middle East. Their boats went everywhere, and the berserkers was the craziest of all. They were not scared to die. Valhalla was a place they wanted to go, so they were like, psh, hey, let's do it. So yeah,
let's get there quicker.
Yeah, the Viking berserkers, very formidable warrior. So there you go. Speaking of the 300, number 2, the Spartan warrior. You know, King Leonidas, the 300, the Spartans. Obviously, Sparta is, the Greek city-state that, threw away their young if they weren't fit, and all the above, and they were bred for war. So
yeah,
the Spartan warriors have to be on here, and they are number 2. And number 1, if the Spartan warriors had a society that was based on warfare and being a warrior, what could surpass a Spartan warrior? So Ted's top badass warrior of all time, and partly has to do with my respect for their culture, is the samurai. Number 1, the samurai. Bushido, the warrior's code, and the discipline and integrity and just the everything of a samurai is number 1. So that's my number 1 badass warrior, because samurai, they'll mess you up. So yeah, pretty cool.
Oh yeah.
So what'd you think? What do you think of that?
Very good. I don't think I would argue too much, I guess, with most of where those were at. So
it was interesting ranking a couple. I kind of had them in little tiers. These are definitely the top 5, top 10 could go in there. These are mid tier. These are other ones.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, all these warriors in history are pretty crazy and pretty good. So it was difficult, but that's my choice. If you like the top list, we'll quick run through. Number 1, the samurai. Number 2, Spartan warriors. Number 3, the Viking berserker. Number 4, Navy SEALs. Number 5, the Immortals. Number 6, ninja. Number 7, the Praetorian. Number 8, Apache warriors. Number 9, the Spetsnaz. Number 10, the Aztec Jaguar warriors. Number 11, the Medieval Knight. Number 12, the Assassins. There you go. Right on. Okay. So now it's your turn, John. You got a little game for me to go, huh?
Yeah, we got 4 audio clips to play, and again, they're NES games, and I think that's all the hints you need.
Okay. So I guess for everyone listening, I'm going to try to guess these games. Is that what you want me to do right here? Try to guess what they are, and they're NES titles.
I think 3 out of the 4, I think you have a good chance of guessing. I'll be surprised if you get the 4th.
Okay.
So.
And then you can, so everybody who's ever done a boss battle, our previous guests, here's your time to laugh and make fun of Ted on the boss battle, because I know I try to make a fool out of a lot of you guys, and I apologize. So here we go. All right, let's do this.
All right, I'm going to turn on my computer here so it talks so I can get to the file. All right, here we go. So here is the first game coming up. Any ideas, Ted?
Okay.
I think for me, like even not knowing what this is, the very first sound
gets me. Yeah, I mean that's what I say. Would it be Ninja Gaiden?
Ooh, close, but not close at all. Blades of Steel.
Oh, Blades of Steel. Okay, yeah, that first sound got me because I recognized that kind of like ching sound when you play one of those ninja games.
Because I was worried trying to find this game because I thought I remembered when you start the game it says Blades of Steel. Ching!
Oh, so did you cut out the
No, it
display?
actually was like that. So I was like, whew, I got lucky with that clip that I found.
Perfect. I haven't played that game in so long. Actually, I'm gonna write that down. I'm gonna.
That was a great hockey game. I love, even the fighting in it and everything. It was so awesome.
Yeah, I used to play that a lot, man.
Oh yeah, I used to play me tons of Blades of Steel for sure. So okay, so that was number 1. So far, you're 0 for 1.
Man,
I thought you would have got it, but
I know.
Okay, so here's number 2. I'll play up until the next part. Yep. Any ideas with that one?
I have 2.
We've talked about this game a handful of times throughout the episodes.
Yes,
so.
I know. I have 2 choices because the music reminds me of both of them.
I'll tell you what, you got a 50-50 in any of these 4. So
I get one 50-50? Oh, okay. I'll say my 50-50 because I have a 50-50 in my head right now, which one it is. I'm trying to remember is it Ghosts and Goblins?
Ooh, you know what? It's funny. I was thinking of putting that game in here, but it's not Ghosts and Goblins.
What is it?
Metroid.
Oh, I did. Oh. No. Okay. Because the Ghosts and Goblins starts off kind of like the ending part of that.
Yeah,
the second
it
part.
is. It is kind of close. Yeah, it is.
Oh, okay. So 0 for 2. Dang. All right.
Here we go.
I get 1 power up. Okay.
Yep. Here's game number 3 out of 4. Any idea of this one, Ted? I'll give you 1 hint. And this is probably going to give it away, but you actually already said this game's title.
Yes. Oh, okay. Yeah, I said it in the first one, didn't I?
Yes.
Yes. What did I say?
Ninja Gaiden.
Ninja Gaiden, yes. Ninja Gaiden, yes.
Yeah.
All right, so Ninja Gaiden. Yeah, play it again. I'm gonna hit it one more time.
Okay, all right. Let me.
Yeah. Keyword back up. Yeah. I was actually playing this the other day.
Were you?
Yeah, I was messing around with that. I was like, oh yeah, I haven't played this in a while. I booted it up and I was like, I need to go play this game again. Ninja Gaiden. Ah, right on. All right, that's number 3. So all right, I have a power up left. I'm gonna use it for the 4th one. I'm sure.
All right, so I'm pretty sure you're not gonna know. I mean, it's not like this is a rare game, but it wasn't on anyone's radar, I don't think. So here we go.
I recognize this.
Yep. So if you're 50-50, this game is either Pinbot or Faxanadu.
I would say Pinbot.
Yes, you're right.
Yes, right on. I have never played Pinbot. Explain, what is Pinbot?
Pinbot was originally a pinball game.
Right.
So it was originally a pinball game, but they turned it into an NES game. It was one of my actually. I wasn't a huge pinball player back in the day, but this game, for whatever reason, I loved this pinball game.
Yeah, I'm looking at it right now. The pictures. Oh, okay. Released in 1988 from. Oh, it's Rare. Rare did it, huh?
Yeah. So the thing in the kind of like the thing in the middle, you would have to like hit it a couple of times and it opened this trap door, and you would have to shoot 2 of the pinballs into it. There are 2 little two slots, and you have to shoot them in there, and you'd get all these bonus points if you're able to do that. And
yeah.
It was an awesome game.
Well, I mean, that's one of the early pinball simulator games. It looks like, you know. What were the paddle? What were the paddles? Was it like left? I mean, the paddle buttons was it A and B?
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
Okay, so just A and B. It would be cool if like maybe the D-pad was one and the other. So that'd be
Yeah.
kinda cool.
Well, it would have been cool too if you could have like shaked the game with
yeah,
the
like tilt it. Yeah, like
Yeah, exactly. But
yeah, 'cause
it was,
you know that the Windows, like the old school pinball simulators back
Yeah.
then. Yeah. That's
Yeah.
cool. Yeah, I'm looking at it right now. Yeah, I got like good reviews, 5 out of 5, everything on all the sites, 1990 or 1988 from Rare. Nice. All right. Well, there we go. So I didn't do great. But
Well, I probably wouldn't have done as well either because I knew what I was looking for. So when I heard it, I'd be like, oh yeah, I remember this. But
right.
if I would have heard it without knowing what I was looking for, I'd been like, man, I know what it is. I just can't put my finger on it.
I like that segment a lot. We should do that one more often because I really enjoy soundtracks of games.
Okay.
But you forget the soundtracks a lot of times, and then then you associate, and then you instantly remember.
Right.
So
right, but you associate it with what you're seeing,
Yeah,
so when
yeah.
you don't see what you normally see when you hear it, you're kind of like, oh man, I know this, but where do I know it from?
The ones I've definitely played a lot of, I would know instantly. Like you did, like the
I
Battletoads
wasn't gonna
scenes.
do like Zelda or
Yeah,
Mario.
yeah,
It's like that's too easy.
Well, yeah, those are easy, but even like something like Gyromite, that's a randomly weird game.
It's funny. I thought of that in another game called Gumshoe.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was gonna try and find that game, but I was like, I don't know.
Yeah, or even like weird stuff like Uncle Fester's, like the game.
Yeah.
I played that. Like I remember the music of that. Like just little things that I would know. But I like the NES. And then, dude, we should do a Sega Genesis one. That'd be fun because like a little bit more.
Yeah. I think it's easier to find the older stuff.
Oh yeah.
Not that I tried too much newer stuff, but it was definitely easier to find like the NES things for sure.
Oh yeah, I mean we should bust out NES, Sega, and SNES stuff for sure. That should be like for this the old school game sounds of. I like that. All right, man. I didn't do good. So, all right, so what was it like? Basically 1.5 for 4. 1.5. The little hint you gave me. Okay. Well, there you go. So next time I'll do better. But dude, that was awesome. Thanks.
And so you win absolutely nothing.
Oh, next
time. You get to go home with nothing.
No. Hey, I get a final encounter though. What's the boss battle?
I don't know. I'll have to think of one next time.
Right. Okay. So here it is. We're gonna do a quick rundown, the moment you've all been waiting for. A quick topic of the week, a rundown of Ready Player One. So spoilers imminent. If you have not read the book or anything or seen the movie that's coming out in 2017, which I don't know how you would, but if you've not been involved with that, please stop listening now. We are going to talk about it. So see you later. If you have read the book though, please listen in and kind of see on your opinions because I was also a late reader to this book. I started on a Monday evening, and I finished it on a Saturday morning. I plowed through it, and it was great. Obviously, there's some things that I would change into it, that I would do, that I would say that, hey, that doesn't really make sense, or that's kind of a little stretch, but overall, very entertaining. So, John, where do we start? Let's talk about this. Ready Player One, like book talk, like book club.
Yeah. Like, I mean, so, basically, the book starts off where I'm not going to remember any of the names off right now off the top of my head, but
I can remember the names if you need.
Okay, so who's the main guy that
Wade.
started the
James Halliday?
Yes, thank you. So James Halliday started this place called the Oasis, and it's basically this online virtual world that's like worldwide. And James Halliday grew up in the 80s, loved video games. He had like a video game sort of studio, I guess, back in the day. But then he created this thing called the Oasis. Well, he ended up, knowing that he was sick. He knew he was going to die. And so he had all kinds of crazy money because he was just this really successful business guy. Yeah, and so he had all this money. So when he died, he set up this game. James Halliday loved the game Adventure for the Atari. And the reason why he loved it is because it was the first game ever where they put an Easter egg in it. And so he loved that idea of putting like hidden things in video games. So he designed the Oasis with these Easter eggs. And basically the day that he died, they released this video, and it was of him saying, okay, I hid these like 5 keys. They're these Easter eggs. whoever finishes and gets to the end gets all of my money, and they run the Oasis.
Yep.
And so people they called it the Hunt eventually. And so people had been doing this game for years. It was like 5 or 7 years. And finally, one person sort of gets the first key and opens the floodgate.
Exactly. To even riff on that a little more, the game is, or the Oasis is not only a game. It's like basically like Second Life. So people go to school in there. So the main character name is Wade. He's 18 years old. Wade Watts. He's 18-year-old. And he's in his last year of high school online. So he goes to high school online in the Oasis. So the Oasis is everyone jacks in that way. The game is set in the future, a dystopian future. So the world is like basically gone to shits at this point.
Yeah, like the United States is like, there's like no electricity and
water, power, the big power. Yeah. Like the big main cities are the hubs, but everywhere else is kind of desolate, and everyone just kind of, it's a dystopian future with technology basis, right? So I think it's set in the year 2045, 2044 in that range. So still close enough to be sentimental. So there's still people around who are alive in the 80s, but they're definitely older.
Right.
They're like 70 years old at this point. And the Oasis itself is, again, a living world basically that everyone goes into, and it's kind of synonymous for the new VR push. Like they got headsets, totally. You have you have your haptic gloves that allow you to interact with it.
Full body suits you can put on.
Exactly.
Treadmills that you run on that make you run through the world. All kinds of stuff.
Right. And to sum up the rest of the plot without saying the ending, but just kind of give you the setting before we get into some talks, is there is the Oasis became like synonymous with everyone does the Oasis. That's what you do. Like you go home to a lot of people work in the Oasis. So it's
exactly people spend their lives in the Oasis than trying to even worry about their actual normal life.
Right. Well, a lot of people make this thing, like this teachers in like the school, because the Oasis is broken up into planets and different locations, all this stuff. So people can work in the Oasis and make a living. So it's a living, breathing thing. And so that became this huge multi-billion-dollar industry. He started, Halliday started the Oasis with another guy named Ogden.
Yes.
And they were basically business partners. He was the business guy, and Halliday was the programmer, kind of like eccentric, weird, kind of, video game guy.
He was the Dave Wozniak, and Ogden's the Steve. No, I don't want to say he was Steve Jobs. He's better than Steve Jobs.
Right. But no, he was. He was the entrepreneurial side. But Ogden's still alive. But on his deathbed, obviously Halliday did this whole thing. And there is the antagonist in the book is a company called IOI, which is basically like a giant conglomerate, which is an internet service provider, does everything. They do everything. They run millions of different businesses and different things, and they're a multi-billion-dollar company, but they want power over the Oasis. So they have basically gone into the Oasis and hired a division to create avatars or characters to hunt down this Easter egg and the three keys, the bronze, the jade, and the crystal key. Yeah. And they have yet to find it. And so they've been hunting for 5 years, and that's where the book kind of opens up.
And the reason why this big company wants that one kind of key thing to that
is the reason why
they want to monetize it, because James Halliday
made the Oasis free.
You had to pay a $1 one-time fee,
25 cents.
Yeah, and then you would be able to access the Oasis forever.
Yeah, it was basically free. The 25 cents was just like to be like a quarter put in. It was kind of just a fun thing, he said.
Exactly.
So basically, Oasis is free, but obviously IOI sees the multi-billion-dollar potential of it, and they want to just mop it up, and they're pretty crappy dudes. So the book opens up with Wade, who is a poor kid living in Oklahoma, in the trailer stacks, which are basically a trailer park with that are stacked up high, like 20 stories high, because they needed a place.
Stacked on top of each other.
And so that's where the book opens up, and so you get to know Wade. So I guess now that without just like going into the whole plot synopsis, because if people have read the book, they want to talk about other stuff.
Yeah.
Where do you want to start? With what Wade
one thing about the book is, for me, every time I read it, because they'll be kind of
find something else, right?
Well, they'll be going in and out, they'll be talking about Wade and his real life, but then they'll be talking about Wade doing all these things within the Oasis. And for me, I forget half the time he's in the Oasis.
Most of the time,
feels it feels like it's his real life, that just the way that they describe the things in the book, and all these other things, like, oh yeah, wait, he's actually like online. He's not. It just feels like it's in his real life, So I thought that was kind of interesting that I kept, getting lost in that in a sense, like.
Yeah, and Wade's name is Parzival. That's his avatar name, Parzival. Yeah. It's an iteration of like the knight searching for the Holy Grail, right?
Exactly. Yep.
Yeah. So that's his name. I want to go into. Oh, go ahead.
Well, I was just gonna say one last thing. And Wade basically is dedicating his life to discovering this hidden egg.
And they're called gunters. They hunt the Easter egg. Yeah.
And so he has all of this like stuff on James Halliday, like notebook after notebook, and all this stuff on him, like learning everything that James Halliday liked, which comes into play throughout the book, because all of these clues and keys, come from James Halliday and things that he enjoyed doing as a kid or growing up or whatever. So knowing James Halliday like the back of your hand becomes very important throughout this book.
Yeah. I have a couple of discussion questions I want to run over real quick. I got a bunch of them, but this is one that's kind of interesting. It's about the 80s pop culture references. Now, you and I are old enough. I was at the tail end, so I got a definite 80s push. You're a couple years older, but you still, I mean, we know the 80s.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it was more mid 80s and 84-ish kind of time frame.
So, but we definitely have links to the 80s stuff. I think, we were definitely young and really coherent, I guess, in the early 90s. Yeah. But we still have 80s. We were 80s kids. So a lot of the 80s references we get. But there's some of them that were so obscure and they leaned so hard into it that sometimes it was overwhelming. And so I can't imagine somebody who's like 20 reading this book, like understanding a lot of it, unless they have a really deep understanding of the 80s. Unless honestly they were like Wade and just liked the old school gaming, and like Haiti, she probably would be on point,
right?
But she's our age.
If you love the 80s decade for whatever reason, like if you love the 80s sitcom and 80s movies and 80s video games and 80s music, you'll love this book. Like even if you were born in like the late 90s or early 2000s, but you love for whatever reason the 80s decade, and you know a lot of like that pop culture back then, you'll love this book and you'll pick up a lot of what's going on.
For sure. And the thing is too, I knew a lot of it, but there were a few references that I didn't know. A couple of them, I would say. But overall, I understood a lot of the references. Most of the gaming references I knew. Maybe one or two I had not played, but I knew of. Like I knew Joust, but I never played it. So what I did, I downloaded Joust and I played it.
Exactly.
And that game is hard as heck.
I played that back in the day on the Atari. The game I ever played was the one he played towards the end. It was like the very last game he had to play.
Yeah, I think it was Zork.
Tempest.
Tempest. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, I never played that.
I've seen Tempest, but
I had Zork on my Commodore 64, so I played that on that.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
But I never played Tempest though.
Yeah, and another thing. Do you remember when he played Pac-Man? For
that was awesome,
dude. Get this. I've been playing a Game Boy Advance for the last a little while. I finally got my Game Boy Advance out of storage, and I've been messing around with it. And I have Pac-Man collection on it, and it has all old Pac-Man games. I was thinking, this was maybe 3 days ago. I was like, let me just say, dude, how do you get a what? Impossible.
Dude, I hear you.
I don't know. I mean, it's not that dying; it's getting all the ghosts and the fruit. Because by the time the dot runs out, all the ghosts are too far away, so you have to plan them so they're right next to you, and then get the dot, and then get them. And so it's how do you get 3,080,000 points, whatever?
Yeah, you purposely leave some dots uneaten, and then you got to eat all the ghosts, catch all the fruit, purposely die because you need the ghosts to respawn.
Right.
You eat all the, so after you, on your last guy, then you finish eating the last few pellets, and then boom, perfect.
But I'm saying, throughout the other, there's a bunch of stages, right? But even through the regular stages, to get the big dot and make the ghosts turn blue, whatever, so you can get them, you have to eat the ghosts, all of them. So you have to time it up where they're next to you so you can get them, because otherwise it only lasts 5 seconds.
Oh yeah, it's not long at all.
Yeah, so you have to they have to be right there. If they're anywhere, if they're inside the little gate in the middle, or if they're too far away, you can't get it, and then your perfect game is gone. So it's dude, I tried it. I was there's no way. There's no way.
Yeah, I know, it was crazy, and it was crazy too because when you'd get that far in Pac-Man, the screen would split. So that must have messed with you.
Oh yeah.
You probably thought something's wrong with the game, like if you weren't expecting it.
Exactly. Yeah, there's just crazy things. I was like, wow. One thing I want to jump around. Yeah, so the 80s references, sometimes I felt they were a little overwhelming. It leaned a little too hard into it. But it was cool. One thing that I guess I want to jump into is that Wade is 18, right? Young kid.
Yeah. Yep.
Super advanced, very intelligent, obviously, very capable. He had a rough upbringing, grew up in the slums. He lives with his aunt because his parents are dead.
Yeah, both of his parents are dead. He's living with his aunt who basically hated him.
So. Yeah. They hit him, her. Right. It starts off like her boyfriend. Like the first chapter, his aunt. They're like typical like quote trailer trash.
Yeah.
No, exactly trailer trash. But,
yeah.
They steal his laptop. Like his first laptop. He has a couple.
Yeah,
backups.
they saw he had a laptop and wanted to steal it and sell it for money.
Yeah. So that's how the book opens. Like he lives in a laundry room and
yeah,
and his. He sneaks into the window like to go to sleep, and his aunt and her boyfriend finds that he have a laptop and steal it from him. And so, that's how the book opens. So like, he's a resilient kid. He does a lot, but some of the stuff he does in the book are like when he infiltrates IOI and does all these networking things, all these crazy things he do. Like it's pretty like beyond his years, and it's interesting. Like I guess if you're forced into a situation like that, then you can overcome and except we're adults, we're in our 30s now, and so we understand situations like that. We can handle ourselves. But I know at me at 18, I was pretty advanced, but I was still an 18-year-old punk, right?
Right.
So I'm thinking some of the stuff he did was like, a little bit too much. And why I say that, I can understand if it was the book. Oh, okay, he's an 18-year-old. It's he's just he's had a tough life. He had to learn it. But he gets so messed up over. So there's another character in it called Artemis. Or Samantha, who the character falls in love with, but he acts like a 16-year-old, little 18-year-old kid, puppy love with this 18-year-old girl, like super immature with this girl. Yet he does all this crazy mature stuff. I thought that was a little, it didn't really match up well. That's why I didn't.
Well, it's probably because I'm just it's the probably stereotypical sort of like nerdy guy who was in his mom's basement, doesn't know how to interact with girls. I think it just shows he had no idea how to interact with a girl. But he could handle other things more maturely, probably.
Yeah, technology, yeah, but no, he was like going in like doing these plans that cause interaction that were like life-threatening, that require social interactions, like being tough under pressure and talking to people like, no, I'm not going to break, like, arrest me, all these things going, getting.
Yeah, that part was crazy.
Yeah, like I thought that was crazy. I thought it was amazing, but he acted like a little kid when it came to a girl, and so I didn't think that matched up well. That's where it kind of broke for me a little bit, and I was like, the character, it doesn't track. He made him too goo goo gaga over Samantha. And like obviously the love interest was great, but I just thought that was like be in love with her, that's great, but don't act like a little kid in love. If you're gonna be mature and do this crazy elaborate plan, take down this organization, right? Have a little cojones and don't just keel over and.
Do you think anything it had to do with him, like kind of because he read her blog for 3 years and sort of worshipped her in a sense, and then. I mean, so do you think that might have had anything to do when it come into play? Like when he finally met her and she actually wanted to talk to him and it seemed like she liked him. Maybe he just didn't know how to deal with it.
No, exactly. No, you're exactly right. But that's what a little kid does. Like me as a 31-year-old man, it's like, okay, like I'm going to feel that way, but I'm mature enough to understand okay, this is what's going to happen. This is what it is. Okay. But I still have to take care of my business and go take down this company from the inside out and blow it up. Right?
When the first time I read the book, I know at first I'm like, why is he giving up? What the heck is going on? And when I figured out what he's doing, I was like, that was insane.
Dude, I thought that part was awesome, but the thing is, it broke for me because the chapters beforehand, he'd acted like a little kid and gone into a crazy depression of a little kid, all this stuff, and this little kid things. This, I don't know. It was just, it just didn't seem to go even with the character, and that's the thing. That's the only biggest qualm I would have to say about it is right there. It kind of broke. I was like, oh, that doesn't make any sense. So I found it hard to believe the big elaborate caper he did that he could pull that off. Right.
Yeah.
But then after I just said, okay, you know what, this is fantasy, okay, and I just let it go, it's still kick ass. It was. I was like, wow, like he freaking moved to Columbus, got his own like apartment, bunkered it up, like all this stuff,
exactly.
like got money, did all these things, and like just it was crazy. Like it was awesome. Like he was basically he didn't go outside for like a year almost. Like
Yeah,
insane.
it's like 6 months to a year or something.
Yeah,
like
it was like
that.
a year. Like, I think then there was like a year time spent in the book where he was just hunting for the keys.
Yeah, he's hunting for that. He like literally locked himself in his apartment and did not leave at all.
Yeah, like and he had like steel plates put in everything and
exactly. Yeah, in the doorway and everything. Yeah.
All right, let's talk quick thing about some of the characters. So there's Halliday, Og, Wade, H, his best friend, who turned out to be, that was a crazy reveal. I thought it was too much. I knew it was going to be something like that, but he had to make it. It was a little too crazy, but we'll go in that second. Artemis, who is Samantha, but Artemis basically. Daito and Shoto.
Yeah.
So those are the main characters, really, and then obviously you have. I
don't remember the main bad guy's name.
His name is.
Shoot. I'm not Harry something.
Yeah, whatever his name is.
Okay.
I just drew a blank. He's the main bad dude. He's a dick. But let's talk about the H reveal. What did you think about that?
So Wade has this best friend H who is just as like a holiday geek
right?
as Wade is. Like they both challenge each other like on all 80s facts, movies, games, whatever, sitcoms. And so they're always at each other trying to one up each other when it comes to that stuff. And
they're best friends in the Oasis only though.
Yes, they've never met each other until like pretty much towards the end of the book.
The very end.
Yeah. H physically has to come pick up Wade because they're going to go to an airport. And so Wade gets into H basically had like a mobile home where the H would just drive around and just be mobile all the time. They didn't have a particular place that they lived. Yep. So Wade gets in, gets up to the front, sees H, and she's this black chick.
Yeah, it was a dude. No, not only that, so she's overweight, she's a black girl, and she's a lesbian.
Right.
So that's when I was like, okay, come on, Ernest. Oh, sorry, I forgot to introduce. Ernest Cline wrote this book.
Yeah, I think he was just trying to just go way over to the extreme.
I thought that was too much to me. I was like, okay, come on, like, she could have just made her just a black girl. A girl would have been crazy enough.
Right.
Because that's enough shift. But then like a black girl, oh, sweet, and then a black girl lesbian, it's like, wow, dude, like, come on. I thought that was a little much too. I kind of was like, I rolled my eyes a little bit at that.
Yeah, no, I hear you.
But even any kind of a girl and a lesbian would have been fine because they had to set it up why she wasn't in love with him because they've been spending every moment together for like 4 or 5, 3 years, something like that.
Exactly.
And that was his only friend, and they knew each other. And they talked about girls and like sex and stuff together. And so they had to set it up for that way. So a girl lesbian would have been cool, but then she's black, a girl, overweight, and a lesbian. So it's like the perfect storm. So he set it up so okay, he couldn't be attracted to her because even though they had this super deep connection, like he fell in love with Artemis within like the first time talking to her, but he had this connection with this person for like 4 or 5 years and they knew everything about each other. So why would he fall in love with her, right? Then he had to make so she's big and black and like a girl and she's a lesbian, so he can't. So they had to like separate it. I get it. So, but it's still. I was like, wow, that's a lot. That's big, but it was still a surprising reveal either way.
Yeah, and she was wicked nervous when he finally saw her because she was like, I don't even know how he's gonna act,
Yeah.
And he was just put his hand on her shoulders, like, hey friend, good to finally meet you. And sat down. And
at first he was kind of like pissed off for a second, that he didn't reveal it because he was embarrassed that they talked about like sex and stuff together.
Yeah.
And then she was like, I have something I need to tell you. And then they took the plane ride and she explains the whole lesbian thing, how she got kicked out of her house and everything because of mom, all that stuff. So she's been mobile by herself for years or whatever. So,
yeah. Yep.
I think it was also cool how Wade, the rest of the book, kept referring to H as him because he's like, that's in the game, he's a he. Or she's a he because Avatar was a dude.
Her Avatar is a dude.
Yeah, so he always just kept referring to her as he. So even at the end of the book in like the final battle scene, it was he. H, grabbed his sword and threw this and that, so it was kind of cool. Definitely cool. So I want to jump into one thing before we get out of here. We're gonna kind of finish up here. What the Oasis. How realistic is that? Do you think that's going to happen?
Totally.
Yep.
I'm honestly kind of surprised we're not there yet.
Yeah.
Like it's literally around the corner.
Yeah, I totally agree. This VR movement, actually, VR.
Even the whole how you said like people have jobs and stuff on the Oasis. It's going to be to that extreme. Like people are going to be spending money in this VR world where they're going to be buying their own virtual clothes, their own virtual
Well, Second Life started that, and PlayStation Home did it for a little while, and it's gonna.
Yeah, I just think the Second Life was maybe a tiny bit ahead of its time.
Yeah,
where the technology couldn't keep up with what they really wanted to do, but now that we have even more powerful computers, more powerful video cards, so on and so forth. Now we're making these. Sony.
The internet is much more rampant. It's much more higher fidelity connections.
Right. But I totally see where people will literally have jobs on these virtual reality worlds, and it'll be as if another real sort of life within it, for sure.
Right.
I totally see it, almost to the point of how it was explained in Ready Player One. Because even in Ready Player One, like when it talked about they're traveling to like these different planets or whatever. They'd be like Wade was at an arcade, how we talked about Pac-Man. Wade was at an arcade playing video games in this virtual world. Mm-hmm. So I could totally see that where you
Inception, deep in the Matrix, down in there.
Like you walk up to video games in the virtual world, but play them as if you're playing your Xbox One.
Yeah.
Like I totally see that.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that, and so that kind of brings up to the finale. To go to it, Wade ends up finding through a crazy, just detailed, like difficult, like super hidden path. Ends up finding the Easter egg on a whim, like through this big epic battle where they fight the company who has a Avatar army inside there trying to take over the whole Oasis. And Wade ends up finding the egg and winning the contest.
Yep.
And so he made a promise to Daito, Shoto, and H and Artemis that he would
split all the money.
Split the money with him.
Yeah.
Right. So, but he runs the Oasis.
Yep.
And the book ends with him and Samantha meeting face to face for the first time, and he's already confessed his love with her many times. Do you think that she's in love with him? I do not.
Really?
I think no. I think that she likes him because she's put a cage on her heart for so long that she didn't let it happen. So she could maybe fall in love with him, but I don't think she does right now. But the book ended with him, they won, they got everything, it was all fine and dandy, and then they met for the first time, and so he got to see her in person.
And I think it ended with them holding hands at least.
Yeah, so. He said, but he does it, I love you so much, I love you, and she's like, we can take it slow, as he said, and she's like, hi, or something like that, and they held hands, but she stopped talking to him for like a year, and then she just didn't, they left each other alone, and she's like super, even reluctant at the very last battle, didn't want to see him in person, even though they were in the same household, like the same like complex.
I think she didn't want to mess what was going on with that final battle.
Yeah. So they had a chance to meet beforehand, but she didn't. And then at the end, she's like kind of looking down, but he like confessed his love, and she never said anything. But
plus, she was looking down because she had that like birthmark
on her eye, yeah.
There's like a technical term for it. I can't remember what it's called, but she had like this big kind of birthmark splotch on her face, and so she would wear her hair down to cover it.
Yep. So
yeah, I don't know. I
don't think she does yet. I think eventually, but just knowing it, I think that he's the puppy love guy, just kind of went crazy on it, and she's just like chilling like normal.
Well, she was also, I think, a year or two older than him.
She was 20, so like by the time she was 21 by the time the book ended, he was 19.
Okay, yeah, so she was a couple years older than him too. So
yeah,
I don't know.
Well, I don't know. Yeah, but anyway, overall thoughts on the book, dude. What do you think?
So, like I said, I listen to this book at least once a year, sometimes twice a year still. Yeah, so
I can see myself doing the same thing. Very good read.
It's written so well, I think. Even though I know exactly what's happening, I just still get caught up in it. I still get lost into the Oasis when they're talking about it.
Exactly. And that's what got me, is I would literally get lost in the story. There were some parts that I got they were a little dull, but nothing that was like deal breaking or stop. He's like, okay, it has to be a little bit of an expose. It has to explain a little bit, right? And that. But you found yourself getting lost and thinking. I would listen to the book audio and read it both, And like when I was reading it or listening to it, I would find myself just kind of looking at the words and like forgetting I was reading the words and just kind of going my own place and making my own oasis and like thinking, oh, would it be cool if this happened? And oh crap, oops, I have to read that page again.
yeah, exactly.
But I was in the world so deep that I was like, wow, this could be really something.
Yeah, totally.
So I definitely recommend it. It's like the quintessential like, oh, you got to read this if you like video games, nerd book, and it's just a cool story. Like I recommended it to my mom. She's an avid fantasy reader, so she would love this book. She likes this kind of stuff. So Shauna, she's gonna read it. Like it's just an interesting read. It's very simple. Like it's not a ton of crazy vocabulary. It's very technical when it comes to a lot of specs and gamey stuff. But you can get the gist of the story even if you're not a game connoisseur or historian buff like we are. But
I mean, even if you didn't grow up in the 80s or know anything about the 80s reference, I mean, there's a lot of it, yeah, sure. But even if you don't know any of it, it's still a great story. Like, you won't lose anything not knowing that stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, not getting the references. It's still a great story.
For sure. Yeah, I thought it was great. So, I think, dude, we should, there's a lot of video game kind of storybooks out there. Maybe we should do some other like book clubs like this before episodes. I think that's cool. I'd be down. So if you guys liked the book club episode, please let us know. Write an email in to us, send us information to us. So I think that's gonna do it for the show today. I think that was fun. A little break from the norm. Anything else for us, John, before we get out of here?
No, 2 thumbs up. Definitely listen to it and you won't be disappointed.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, check the book out. So how we go, you know how to get a hold of us, everybody. On Twitter, we are JTEX Gamecast. My personal Twitter is Tedwards44. John is JNato7. Nato spelled Nadeau, the French way. Instagram is the same. Again, JTEX Gamecast and Tedwards44. Join our Facebook group. We post in there, do a lot of episodes up there. It's fun, have some discussions. Find us on iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, wherever you find podcasts. Share it with your friends. Write us a review. We're starting to get a lot of reviews, and it's helping us rank. We appreciate everything. And then, if you write a fun review, and we can maybe read it on the air. And if you write a bad one, we'll try to change it.
Exactly.
Exactly, right? Hey, check out the podcast website, which is www.raptorcow.com/JTEXGamecast. And, if you want to send us an email, you can. The email address is jtexgamecast@raptorcow.com. That's it. So until next week, we'll see you later.
Game over.